Luton Town midfielder Marvelous Nakamba to the penalty spot at the football.
Scored for Aston Villa. He never scored for Bruges. Fantastic. Luton Town. And he's missed it. Luton Town will be a Premier League club next season.
Nakamba slotting in Luton Town's third kick in the shootout as his team edged Coventry City 6-5 on penalties at Wembley in the Championship playoff final following a 1-1 draw after extra time. That all means Luton won promotion to the English Premier League, estimated to be worth at least $220 million across the next 3 seasons. So Nakamba has been praised as one of the main factors in getting Luton to the land of Premier League riches since joining them on loan in January from Aston Villa. According to the Birmingham Mail newspaper, the Warriors international will be moved on permanently in the coming transfer window. He still has a year left on his Villa contract, so we'll see. Mr. B, about the game itself, I think Marvelous accounted very well of himself. He was very keeping it safe for his teammates. I don't think you can say he pulled up trees, but he did enough to help his team get over the line.
It was such a big pressure game. You're said to be the richest game in football because of how much it's worth. Say they're $220 million. So in terms of money, it's definitely the biggest game of Marve's club career, and he did distinguish himself so well. It was a tense contest, and you could sense that it was going to go to the drama of a penalty shootout, a lottery with so much at stake. But Marve's done well throughout the campaign and also in these playoffs as well. He's done tremendously well. For him to take a penalty in the shootout, he obviously stepped up and put his hand up, and he converted it really well. And he was one of the heroes there for Luton. And it's going to be a great to have Luton there in the English Premier League because it's the home of many Zimbabweans. It's kind of like a capital city of Zimbabweans in the UK is Luton. You'll find many diasporans there. So if Marve does stay there, he'll probably get lots of support there at the home matches. The issue is paying him, because when you're on loan, normally the arrangement is that the parent club pays your wages, and Marve was on £55,000 a week, so that's a lot of money for Luton to be able to afford. But going up, they've got to spend, no doubt, so they should have money to spend. So it'll be great if they do sign him from Aston Villa. I thought he distinguished himself really well on a high pressure day.
Simba, for you, do you think he's done enough to remain in Luton Town ranks? They have enough money to go for a higher level of player than someone who helped them get out of the Championship. Maybe they might target Premier League ready players. We saw what Nottingham Forest did when they brought in almost 2 full new squads when they got the Premier League money last season.
But definitely, I think for Marve, it's because you also have the English Premier League experience, so they would want to go for him. And looking at the impact that he had when he joined the club in January, and you would say that quite a bigger percentage of their run getting in to win this championship was also because of the input that he put into the team. And Rukudzo, when you look back, you say that when people were debating about him when he was still at Aston Villa, the fact that that move when he went to Luton, many people were castigating him negative for that matter. But look, he knew where he was going, and look, it seems like it was a masterstroke decision for him. And now he is at a club that is enjoying his football, at a club where he feels loved, and also the coaches seems to respect him, and a good move for him.
Very good move for him. I think Luton Town will be doing themselves a disservice if they were to throw a Marvelous back into the rubbish heap. I think he was a fantastic player. I think even the manager has come out and said he was probably one of the difference makers, getting them over the line to the Premier League. I'll be surprised if they do not go in hard to secure his services permanently as they come back into the top flight for the first time in 30 years. Let's come back down now to Zimbabwe. Local football match week 11 of the Castle Premier Soccer League came to an end today. Chicken Inn thrashing ZPC Kariba by 3-0 at the National Sports Stadium thanks to strikes from Malvin Wata, Tafadzo Coutinho and Genius Mutungamiri. The win lifts the Gamecocks into third spot with 18 points, now just 2 off the lead held by Ngezi Platinum Stars. Kariba remain in 14 spots, a point outside the drop zone. Let's talk about the big talking point from the weekend's action, of course, at the National Sports Stadium yesterday. Hooliganism reared its ugly head again in Zimbabwean football after Caps United were held to a 1-1 draw by Simba Bora. The Green Machine were hanging on to a 1-goal lead through a William Manondo's first half strike when Simba Bora leveled in controversial fashion on the stroke of full time. Tinashe Balakasi nodding in to break Kepe hearts. But the second half was littered with several questionable refereeing decisions that seemingly always went in Simba's favor, including the equalizing goal. So at the full-time whistle, Caps players and officials angrily confronted the referee Jimmy Makwanda over his performance. When he tried to leave the pitch, he was pelted with various objects by angry supporters in the stands. One of the missiles struck him on the head and drew blood. We saw Makwanda needing medical attention before he was escorted from the pitch by the police. All this time, dozens of Caps fans had invaded the playing area to personally confront him. The situation therefore could have gotten even uglier if it wasn't for the police presence. So Caps United boss Loyi Chitembwe not impressed with the match officiating.
I want to believe. I think that's the best way to put it. If it was comedy, and then I want to believe. I think that's the best way to put it. If it were a movie, obviously to qualify, it would be a comic series. You see, there are a lot of things that are not football-like. So, yeah, very, very disappointed from that viewpoint because the players, coaches, supporters, all they want to see is football. And it wasn't the case because it was chaotic later on. We don't condone a situation where even fans are onto the pitch. I think today's events were very unfootball-like and very, very disappointing from that viewpoint. But this is a phenomenon, football in recent days, and it's quite disappointing. But I thought we had done enough to win it. I'm sure the commitment, the organization, and the planning behind the game, the execution was perfect.
Caps United boss Loyi Chitembwe there. Simba, you and I were there at the National Sports Stadium. It was looking dicey when we went onto the pitch. There were several fans there. I, for one, was actually worried about my own safety. I thought maybe I could get caught up in that violence. But yeah, they were very frustrated with the refereeing performance. How did you see things handled there by Jimmy Makwanda during the second half in particular?
Yeah, Rukuzo, in as much as the referee had some questionable officiating, but again, when you look at it, it becomes an assumption from any other person who is not the referee or the match commissioner. So for me, I don't condone the fact that even if a referee doesn't have a good day in office, you take the law into you have a situation whereby the life of the referee is in danger, and also other people that were there, because even those missiles that were thrown, there were also some Caps United marshals who were trying to escort the referee out, and they could also have been hit by those missiles. So for me, I don't really condone whatever action that fans would want to take into their own hands about match officiating. There's this mob psychology that people would want to come up with, even the assumption that, like what the listener said at the top of the show, that the referee has been given money. Those are silly, and, the talk that we have, people, especially for teams that are owned by individuals, because I will also ask Cape United fans, if you rewind to 2022, 31 July at Ascot Stadium, there was some questionable officiating that were there, and Caps United managed to win that game against Chihuahua, but Chihuahua fans didn't get into the stadium and throw those missiles at the officials. And then 2 weeks later, 14 August 2022 against Blair City, and Blair City felt also robbed. And these two teams also went, down. They were relegated, and they would also question that officiating that gifted Cape United with 6 points from those matches. But they didn't take the law into their own hands and, assaulted the referee. And why would the fans get into the stadium like what they did? It's unlawlessness. And also, the footage that is circulating on social media, they can easily apprehend those people. The marshals know the people that invaded the pitch, and they should be dealt with.
Mr. V, just how much trouble is Caps United in terms of the club itself? We also know there's precedent in terms of punishing the club for the fans' behavior last season. Dynamos and Highlanders were heavily fined for those scenes at the end of their game at Barberfield. We saw Highlanders fined 5,000, Dynamos was fined 7,500. That game didn't finish. The match was abandoned because of the fan trouble. This one finished. All of this violence happened after the final whistle. Can Caps United expect a bit of leniency?
Well, it still is technically a pitch invasion, people coming into an area where they're not supposed to be. So they most likely will get a fine for this. And it's just not acceptable at all. And we know that our referees are regulated. Even if we disagree with their decisions, we can't be taking the law into our own hands.
And Simba, briefly, in terms of the actual football that was played, if you ask me, in the second half, yes, those decisions were going against Caps United regularly, but Simba Bora were making most of the running. They were making most of the half chances. For me, I think maybe a draw was actually the fair result, just in terms of the football. Do you agree?
Yeah, of all the matches that I've seen so far this year, I think yesterday's performance was the best for Simba Bora so far, and they really wanted to win the game. And for Caps United, you are one up, and for them, they were also, we spoke before the game about time wasting. They were doing it, but in a subtle way. And for Simba Bora, they kept on probing that goal. And for Cape United, they should have just gotten in a cushioning goal.
A second goal, definitely, I completely agree with you. Elsewhere, it never rains but pours for embattled Dynamo's boss Herbert Marua. This team followed up a 4-match run of draws with a gutting 2-1 defeat away at new league leaders Ngezi Platinum Stars. Dimbare actually went ahead in the first half, but Takunda Benura and Kadir Amini turned it around for Ngezi to continue their unbeaten record at Baobab Stadium. Their boss Tekshwa Chiragwi explained how they managed to complete the turnaround.
Nothing else. I think they've celebrated the goal, forgetting that it was the first half of the game, and we managed to come back second half. We really wanted to win because we were playing at home, and we knew they were going to come back defending because they are chasing for points, and getting that goal, it was crucial for them. But for us, we really need to go forward so that we can manage to get an early goal, like what we said during the half time, and we managed to come back within 5 minutes. We get a goal, give us an advantage to put more pressure in attack, and hence we managed to get the second goal to decide the match for the day.
Mr. V, Ngezi Platinum, the real deal right now.
Yeah, but Dynamos were unlucky. That was arguably a freak goal. I was watching this game on ZTN Prime yesterday. Goalkeeper Taimon Mvula having uncharacteristically bad game. He flapped at a corner that he didn't deal with it. That resulted in the first goal. But the second one from Kadi Amini was from long range, right over on the left side, and it may have been one of those that was intended to be a cross, and in the end it went in. The keeper was off his line. Mvula tried to backpedal to get there, and he couldn't. I'm sure if we spoke to Amini, he'd say that it was intentional, that he'd tried to catch the keeper off his line, but then after some time most of these players will admit that it was actually a lucky goal and it was meant to be a cross, although Amini is a brilliant player, so he might have intended to have done that. But I would feel that Dynamos would have deserved to have come away with a point there.
And Simba, Herbert Marua, his seat getting hotter and hotter by the week. That's now 5 matches without a win, and just 4 straight draws, and now this loss. How much trouble is he in now? Do you think the Dynamos executive will start to listen to the fans' cries about maybe thinking of a change in the dugout?
I think they should not listen to the fans, because it seems that when Tondindra was there, people were complaining that he was playing down game, and they need a coach who was going to come with a new flair, passing game, and they brought in Herbert Marua. The passing flair is there, and but the goals are not really coming. So if you continue to change and play to the whims of the fans, you'll not go anywhere. So you need to stick to your guns. If they believe he's the man, they need to give him time. And look at the difference between him and the team at the top. You know, there isn't much. It's just one game difference, and then you'll be back in the mix. So for me, I would think that they need to give the coach the support that they are supposed to give. Look at even what's happening with Kaiser Chiefs. Arthur's one.
What happened with Arthur's one? Finish your thought.
Yes, they're giving him time. Because at times, you know, if you want to listen to the fans, you will not go anywhere.
But that's South African football and Zimbabwean football. You know how Dynamo's fans are in terms of their patience. It is pretty much non-existent.
Look now, Brito is on second position, but look the pressure that is being put into. You know, look at even Ngezi Platinum Stars. The first 4 games were draws. They were not picking up points. But, you know, their executive addressed the technical team and the players that, no, we know this is just a phase and things will come right.
Let's close off this Castle Lager Premier Soccer League review with the rest. Ngezi Platinum, as I said, are top thanks to Highlanders' 5th consecutive draw. This time a disappointing 1-0 stalemate against promoter side Greenfuel at Barber Fields. On Saturday, champions FC Platinum are slowly making their way up the table now. They made it 2 wins on the bounce by edging out Black Rhinos at the National Sports Stadium, lifting them ominously to 4th spot now because of Chickenins win today. Your Chiefs in 4th place dropped points again, drawing 1-0 with Cranbourne Bullets. So the standings at the top of the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League, we have Ngezi Platinum with 20 points, Highlanders in 2nd with 19, we have Chicken in 3rd with 18, also FC Platinum with 18, but they have an inferior goal difference, and Bulawayo Chiefs in 5th with 17. It's extremely tight this season in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League. Only 6 points separate the top 11 teams in the table. So a lot of sorting out to do before we get to the end of the season. No clear title favorite as things stand.
This is the Daily Sports Zone. Star FM, your first choice for sport.
Some other sports news in brief. The Zimbabwe select side beating the Pakistan Shaheens by 32 runs in the final one-day match at Harare Sports Club on Saturday, winning the series 4-2. The Zimbabwe select finally breached 300 runs and then some, posting a massive 385 for 7. Craig Irvin simply unplayable. He reached 195 in 148 balls, the greatest ever score by a Zimbabwean at List A level. The Shaheens tried their best to keep up with the required run rate, but they fell short, bowled out for 353. The returning Sikandar Raza took 3 for 66. And in rugby, Old Hararians won the Harare Derby 29-14 over Harare Sports Club at Old Georgians Sports Club in the Paramount Garments Seniors Northern Region League. Old Georgians beat the High Performance Center under-20 team by 24 points to 14. Let's go through some of your messages before we go international here on the Daily Sports Zone. If I can get my computer to work, it's seemingly stuck. Unfortunately, we're going to have to fix that and then get back to your messages. Let's go international.
This is World Sport on the Daily Sports Zone.
In case you missed the news earlier this afternoon, Chelsea appointed former Tottenham and Paris Saint-Germain boss Mauricio Pochettino as their new manager. The Argentine begins his new role on the 1st of July 2023 on a 2-year contract with an option of a further year. Interim boss Frank Lampard took Chelsea to 12th in the Premier League, their lowest finish for more than 25 years. Mr. V, a good move for Chelsea. Is this the man who can fix everything going wrong at Stamford Bridge?
Arguably, yeah. I mean, it's you got coaches moving from one big club to another, getting huge payoffs when they get fired. But Pochettino, yeah, his CV's very strong, and if they do stick with him for those 2 years, then I think he could rebuild this club.
Okay, gentlemen, I have been looking forward to this one in particular all day. Let's give our own Daily Sports Zone awards for the just ended English Premier League season. Of course, it ended yesterday with Manchester City crowned champions, Arsenal, Manchester United and Newcastle United joining them in the Champions League next season. Liverpool, Brighton and Aston Villa make up the other European places, while Southampton, Leeds United and City were champions just 7 years ago, all saying goodbye after relegation. We'll start off with you, Simba, your player of the season.
I think it's going to be Kevin De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne, not Erling Haaland, not the man who scored 36 goals and broke the record.
Yeah, for me, I never really look at the people that do the finishing, because I look at the people that also provide the assist.
Mr. V, your player of the season?
Oh, Haaland for me, hands down, Rukudza.
Absolutely. Right, this one is a bit contentious now because there are so many managers who've done a fantastic job with their club. You can talk about Eddie Howe lifting Newcastle from relegation candidates to the Champions League. Arsenal's Mikel Arteta, of course, from the Europa League to title challenges. You can talk about Roberto De Zerbi. You can have Unai Emery, your choice, Mr. V, for manager of the season.
Yeah, I've got to go for the Brighton manager, De Zerbi, for making Brighton one of the most entertaining teams to watch and for qualifying us for Europe for the first time.
Simba, your manager?
Mikel Arteta.
Or just
yeah, I think he has done well. And, you look at Arsenal, we're ring outsiders, but where you took them to, I think you did quite a good job.
Sticking with you, Simba, your signing of the season. Many people, of course, would want to talk about Haaland, but there are plenty of great signings made. I would personally go for Casemiro of Manchester United. Yours?
I think Haaland, but Casemiro, yes, is to be a toss between the two.
Signing, Mr. V?
Let me go for one of the African signings. I think Nigeria's Taiwo Awoni was brilliant at Nottingham Forest, especially at the end of the season. This huge striker who Liverpool had on their books for many years, and his goals helped Forest to stay up.
Mr. V, sticking with you now, you can talk about the surprise of the season. It can be a player, it can be a club, it can be a positive surprise, it can be a negative surprise. If you were to ask me, the negative surprise, definitely Chelsea. I mean, all that money, they spent £600 million in terms of some estimates, and they finished 12th. Absolutely ridiculous there. And a positive surprise, maybe you can have Kaoru Mitoma. I think his impact at Brighton there, no one saw him coming in terms of looking like a really world-class winger. Wait and see if he can continue that form next season. Your surprise of the season?
Yeah, Brighton, positive surprise. Chelsea, yes. And also Leicester, negative, unwelcome surprise to see a club that delighted us so much just 7 years ago going down. Although, looking into it, it's not such a surprise because they didn't invest in players and they were just badly run this season.
Simba, your surprise?
Yeah, of course, it's Brighton as a team, the way they played. And then as a player, I think I'll go for Casemiro. You spoke about the impact that he had. Because I remember when it was announced that he was joining Manchester United, he was with the Brazilian national team. And all of the players in the Brazilian national team were laughing at him and saying that was going to be the end of Casemiro. But, he went there and, proved people wrong. And he was one of the best players in the league this season.
Let's read some of your messages very quickly before we have to head out of the studio. Linda Muriro on Monday is back on the airwaves. She's in the studio already, so I have to do this quickly. Player of the season for you, Martin Odegaard. Another signing, you say Haaland. Surprise was Nunez. Is that a negative surprise or a positive surprise? Goal of the season, you say goalkeeper of the season, Nick Pope from Newcastle. Team of the year, Arsenal. Rookie of the year, Garnacho. Match of the season, Chelsea 2, Tottenham 2. Goal of the season, Casemiro's overhead kick against Bournemouth. This is Matiza, a Manchester United fan. Thank you very much for listening. Player of the season, Harry Kane. Coach of the year, Mikel Arteta. Signing of the season, Manuel Akanji. And then here you're saying man of the season, Eric Ten Hag. Signing Casemiro. Player of the season, Haaland. Surprise player, Lisandro Martinez. I completely agree with you. Not many people saw him being a linchpin for Manchester United. As his high sports team cry, my beloved Dimbare Jompano now walking on a thin rope. Caps, be professional. Stop behaving barbarically as we enter week 12. Chenuka Zembe, Padama Fours, and last one for now. Well done, Nakamba. You have given Zimbabwe pride. I'm Davis Ndiraya in Stone Ridge. Well, that brings me to the end of this edition of the Daily Sports Zone right here on Star FM. Big thanks to Steve Vickers and Simba Chiminya for joining me. I'm very sorry if I did not read your message. So many of them flying in, and unfortunately we had a bit of a glitch in the studio, but we'll certainly be working on that and make sure we get your thoughts on the Daily Sports Zone right here on Star FM. Your first choice for sport.